Hello friend, what is up? I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you may be watching this. I'm back! If you're new here, my name is Jessica and I started this channel back at the beginning of 2020 before we really knew what was to come from that year. So I took an indefinite break at the beginning of 2021 and I'm excited to be back creating content for you guys. I decided I wanted to start off with a little life update video and update you on where I have been for the past 3 years now, and also just kind of talk about what you can expect from me and my channel moving forward. I was debating on if I wanted to talk about things in chronological order or if I wanted to talk about them like event by event, and in order to keep myself from rambling too much, I decided to break it up into events. To start, let's chat about my photography business, since I basically went from uploading on YouTube to opening my photography business, where I started this in February of 2021. I have always had a passion for photography and just creating content. It's something that I have always really enjoyed, and so I decided at the beginning of 2021 to finally follow my dreams of owning my own photography business. It took me a little while to really figure out what exactly I wanted to focus on and niche down on, so to speak. But the big thing that I discovered that just really brings me joy when it comes to photographing people is photographing anything and everything that has to do with families and parenthood. So maternity, newborn, pregnancy and adoption announcements, families with younger kids, family with older kids, just anything parenthood related. Over the past few years, this has been a bit more of a passion project and side hustle for me, where I've had a full-time job. So I am very excited to continue to help families just really capture their memories and just really take my business full-time this year. So now on to a not so exciting update. In August of 2022, I left my former sales job to go to a company where I would really be able to just further my sales career and really just enjoy what I was doing and what I was selling a bit more. I'm being a bit vague on purpose just for privacy's sake, but I absolutely loved working here and my coworkers and what we did, and just overall it was a really wonderful job. It was definitely exhausting at times and it took up most of my time, but overall I really loved what I did there. But unfortunately, earlier this year I got laid off. This was definitely a drastic and unexpected change when it happened, but I decided to just really look at things for the better and find the positive in things. This has given me a lot more time to be able to focus on my business and, like I mentioned, just take that full time and really just get back to creating content here on Jessica Anywhere and just pursue my passions while I go back to looking for another full-time job. I think this is probably the most exciting update in this video, but I got married last year. So for those that don't know, I met my now husband my freshman year of high school, and we started dating April of my freshman year, so April of 2013. We had always talked about getting married at some point in our lives. It's something that we knew we wanted to do, but we were happy with where we were and where our relationship was, and so we weren't in any rush whatsoever to actually make that happen and get married. We bought a house before we got married even. If I'm being 100% honest with you guys, it started off a little bit as a joke for us to get married on our 10-year dating anniversary. We were planning our 9-year anniversary trip and started to talk about what we wanted to do, and we both kind of jokingly said, hey, what if we got married? Because it's something that our families have been asking us, like, do you have a timeline? When is this gonna happen? No pressure or anything, just curious. And so we kind of started joking about making it happen then, and here we are. Before we talk about wedding planning and the wedding itself, though, we of course have to talk about one of the most important parts in this whole process, and the proposal. When I look back on our proposal and how he proposed, the first thing that comes to mind is just how much thought and effort he put into this. He put together an entire scavenger hunt that took us around some of our favorite places in the Salt Lake Valley and out to where we met at for the first time, and it was just really special overall seeing the different clues that he came up with for me to figure out where we were going, and especially to see the last stop, the final setup, so to speak. He ended the scavenger hunt at the high school where we met, where he had his brother and sister-in-law there to film and take pictures for me, of course, but then he also had them set up candles and a bunch of rose petals to spell out "Marry Me." While we were walking up, he played our song, which is Springsteen, and when I turned around, he was there on one knee with my ring. We danced to our song that night to kind of finish things up, so to speak, and wrap up the proposal, and honestly it couldn't have been better. It was a very special night overall. Now let's chat about our wedding, the big grand event. So we decided ultimately to have an intimate destination elopement in Salem, Oregon is where we were, just outside of Salem in Silver Falls State Park. I randomly heard about this state park while I was looking up things to do in Oregon, and as soon as I saw photos of it, I knew that this was the place that we had to have our wedding. It has the lush green trees and moss and all of the waterfalls and just everything that I think of when I think of the Pacific Northwest. We started off our wedding day by going out and having breakfast, with it being just the two of us, and spending just a bit of a slow morning together before we met everybody that was there for our wedding at a nearby park for a little rehearsal luncheon, so to speak. It was just more for everybody to get to know each other that hadn't met before our wedding that evening. And then we headed off to our Airbnb to get ready. We chose to get ready together, which I know kind of goes against tradition, but I absolutely loved it. It was a lot of fun having him there, and then also doing our first look at the Airbnb. It was really nice and really special to have that moment with just the two of us, plus our photographer and videographer, of course, that were there. But I absolutely loved having our first look before the ceremony, so that way we could just really spend that time together and just cherish that moment. At the state park is where we had our ceremony, where we exchanged vows. We passed our rings around everybody that was there and had a ring warming ceremony, which was really, really special to see. And then we also did our first dance as Mr. and Mrs. to Springsteen while we were there. We went straight from our first kiss and wrapping things up into dancing. And I absolutely loved that transition and how things worked out. Before we left the park, we decided to take a bunch of photos with all of our friends and family members that were there, and then we went our separate ways for the evening. As much as we were wanting to get married in the Pacific Northwest, where that is very much my happy place, we also wanted to have a reception back here in Utah with all of our extended family and friends and everybody that wasn't able to make it up to our ceremony. It was a very laid back evening overall, which I absolutely loved. We had lawn games set up, a dance floor for everybody. There was a photo booth, which I absolutely loved having. Instead of having a traditional guest book, we decided to do a time capsule, which was something I saw on Pinterest and really loved the idea of. So we had places for people to leave us advice to read on different anniversaries, to add to our bucket list, date night ideas, and different things along those lines. And then for the food, because it was a much more laid back evening, we had a big charcuterie spread, which was absolutely amazing. That is one of my favorite things to eat. And then instead of a cake, where neither of us are big fans of that, we decided to do s'mores for dessert. My aunt made us an adorable little 8-inch cake for us to still do photos and everything with, but then we did s'mores for everybody else. I still can't believe that we planned our dream wedding, especially in 6 months, but I absolutely adore how everything turned out and wouldn't have had it any other way. I had a blast, honestly, throughout the planning process and putting everything together. And I did record some footage in that time as well. It's on my phone, so it is vertical instead of horizontal. But if you guys do want to see any like wedding planning related content or anything like that, definitely let me know down in the comments below. So last but not least for updates, let's talk about where the heck I've been for the past 3 years. I went back and was looking through all of my Google Photos over the past few years just to make sure I wasn't leaving anything out, and realized, holy cow, we've done a lot of traveling over the past few years. To start in 2021, we kicked off the year with taking a trip for our anniversary by road tripping down to Las Vegas and stopping at both Capitol Reef and Bryce along the way. Towards the end of our trip, I ended up getting sick, unfortunately, and spent a lot of time in the hotel room, but it was still a great start to the trip, thankfully. In September of that year was our first trip together to Washington, starting that annual tradition to see his cousin that lived up there. We went to the Chihuly Glass Museum as well as went up to the Space Needle, which was a first for me. And then later that fall, we decided to go spend a quick weekend in Las Vegas to kind of make up for our trip earlier in the year, and then also to see the Bellagio Conservatory all decorated up for Christmas, where we hadn't seen that before. And then this was also the year of a lot of local adventures. So we went to the Tulip Festival, the Butterfly Biosphere out at Thanksgiving Point. We had our family rodeo. We went hiking a ton. We explored the International Peace Gardens here in Salt Lake. We did the Parade of Homes, went up to Oktoberfest, went to like the BYU versus Utah game, which I'm so excited is going to be back this fall. And then it was also my niece's first summer, so we went to the zoo and aquarium with them. Now on to 2022. To start off the year here, we went to San Diego for my birthday. We had both been to LA before for a prior birthday of mine and decided to head down to San Diego this year to spend some time on the beach. We went to the zoo while we were there, which I absolutely loved. We only had a day at the zoo, which definitely was not long enough, so I can't wait to go back and explore that more. This year for our anniversary was when we decided to go back up to Washington and make this our second annual trip. We spent a bit more time in Seattle this time and went to Pike Place Market for the first time, where we hadn't done that on our previous trip. And then to end the summer of 2022, Nathan's grandpa got remarried, and so we took a little road trip down to St. George for that, and then stopped in Vegas, where that's not too far away, and then on our way home we went to Bryce, making that an annual trip for us as well. Now 2023, the year of epic travel, as I have called it. We got married at the beginning of the year, sort of the beginning in April, so we road tripped up to Salem for that, stopping at Multnomah Falls and the Columbia Gorge on our way, and then we drove down I-5 to San Francisco, and on our way down there we stopped at the Redwoods as well as in Grants Pass to see one of my old teachers. We flew out of San Francisco to Kauai for our honeymoon, where we spent a week there. We went on a boat tour, a helicopter tour, spent all the time on the beach, and had honestly the most epic honeymoon. I'm very excited to share more about that with you guys in a later video. And then we flew back to San Francisco, where we drove from San Francisco back to home and stopped in the Reno Tahoe area on our way, where neither of us had seen Lake Tahoe before, and it was absolutely stunning. We were only in the area for a couple of hours, so that is definitely going to be someplace we're gonna have to make a dedicated trip to later on. Then after our wedding reception in June, we decided to take a little mini moon. We'll take any excuse to travel, and for this we drove down to Canyonlands National Park down in Moab, and then over to Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park in Colorado. These were both parks that we hadn't been to before, and loved getting to see the diversity between the two in terms of the Red Rock in Moab and then just the vast canyon that Black Canyon is. And it was a lot of fun being able to get away and have a break after the official end of all of our wedding planning. In September, we took our annual trip to Bryce over Labor Day. I was surprisingly surprisingly able to get us a camp spot in the park. So we stayed there for the weekend and had a ton of fun hiking around, and we did the Queen's Garden loop for the first time, which was absolutely amazing. And then our last trip of the year, and the last trip that we went on, was in October over Nathan, my husband's birthday, when we went up to Seattle for our annual Washington trip. We were able to work remotely, and so we went up there for 10 days and stayed with his cousin, partially stayed in an Airbnb, got some work done while we were up there, and we're really just able to enjoy the area and just take everything in the fall. While there, we went to Mount Rainier, North Cascades National Park, Whidbey Island, as well as Leavenworth, which was an adorable town and definitely did not get to spend enough time there. I also plan on making a dedicated video on planning a trip to Washington, so let me know what questions you have about that, if I can get my words out in the right order, down in the comments below for that as well. Whew. So that's where I've been for the past 3 years. Kind of a lot, but it's also been a little bit since I have seen you guys. So there's a little update. You're now caught up to speed. Let's chat about what you guys can expect moving forward from me and my channel. I am honestly largely going to be creating a lot of the same content that I was previously, in terms of a mix of travel and lifestyle content with a heavy emphasis on travel, where that is a huge thing that I am passionate about and love sharing about as well, and just helping people travel better. So I can't wait to share more about, sorry, camera battery died, had to get that changed out. But anyways, I am very excited to share everything that I have in my head with you guys, in terms of just how to be a tourist in your own town, the trips we're going to be taking, just various lifestyle things and day-to-day life. I also have a couple of videos that I want to make updates for you guys as well. And yeah, just a ton of good content that I am very excited to be making over these next few months for you. In terms of my posting schedule, I plan on uploading once a week on Fridays, with a couple of bonus videos included every now and again for you guys. If I can get it done in time, I've got a fun Valentine's Day video coming, as well as I want to do monthly resets and different things along those lines. So yeah, you can expect videos every week on Fridays, and I will update you guys if that ever needs to change. If you have made it this far, thank you for watching all the way through my first video back to YouTube. I am very excited to be back, if you can't tell. Let me know down in the comments below just kind of what videos you want to see moving forward, if there's any specific travel content that you want to see, if you want to see the wedding related content that I talked about. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff if you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys next week.